there's a big part of my parenting journey that I have felt very isolated on. I felt very alone in the way that I approach things and misunderstood intensely, in fact, even by services that I anticipated support from. I'll give you an example of that. So last year we got social services involved in my family, and when I heard they were getting involved, there was relief there, because my child, I felt, needed additional support, and my family needed additional support. And it was like, okay, the ball is rolling now. This is great. And we had an incident that had happened. I don't share the details of these kinds of things because they involve my children, and for me, it's really important to maintain their privacy. However, there was an incident. I'd reported it to the social worker, asking for some input around it. And it was to do with the behaviour of my child. Out of the blue, social services came the next day, just turned up on my door, and then sat down. And the lack of support for my child in that conversation was mind-blowing. I actually felt blamed for the circumstance that I was in. The questions that were asked of me were utterly irrelevant. What was reflected back to me was inaccurate on so many levels. And when they left, I felt worse than when they'd arrived. So I felt very alone in what I've experienced with my children. I also have a deep belief that the answers we seek lie within us as individuals, especially as parents, right? We know our kids. Nobody knows them like we do. And there's a ton of advice out there. There's a ton of strategy out there. And my core belief and message is becoming clearer and clearer for me. The more we can embody and claim our own self-worth and keep connected to ourself and our higher power, the universe, source energy, your higher self, God, whatever label you want to put on that, but the force of life that connects us all. When we can stay connected to that, even with all of the noise around, and trust ourselves to act from that place, despite the expectations, despite the opinions, something really magical happens. Really magical. I've been on this journey of inner exploration and embodiment work and somatic healing, and in this past, I would say 6 months in particular, it's just gone to a whole new level where I've realised, for me, my main leak of energy, if you like, was really seeking that understanding, seeking that approval, and trying to convince other people of my way. Very recently, I was in a situation where I was doing things my way. I was meeting my child's needs the way that makes sense to me, knowing that the people around were very likely going to be confused and disapprove of the way that I was doing things. And I caught myself and my mind going to that place, right? Like, oh, they're going to think this. There's going to be this judgment. And in that moment, I just let it dissolve. I just thought, you know what? I know my kid. I know what he needs. And I don't have anything to prove to anyone else. I don't need to convince anyone else of my style, of my choices. They're mine. And from that certainty, that level of certainty in me, in what I was choosing, it sparked this conversation and curiosity with the other adults involved. There was no judgment. There was a very genuine, open conversation and questions where there was no defense on my part. It's just, this is what I do and this is the way that I do it, and I understand if you don't understand. And from that place, that understanding that I had been looking for was there. When we embody our worth, when we embody our certainty, because you might have forgotten that but underneath the doubts, underneath the comparison, underneath the needing someone else to agree in order for your choice to be valid, in your heart, when you drop down from your head and into your heart, what's required. And when we can take the time to slow down in whatever circumstances going on around us, when we can slow down and act from that certainty and not waver when the opinions of others come in, whether or not people understand, whether it gets the same conversation and the same kind of acceptance as I got recently, it doesn't matter. Because we're modelling to our dysregulated children in those moments. Number one, I know how to stay connected to myself. I get to be the bridge of calm and connection. Number two, I can see what you need And I am willing to stand with you and for you. And then we get to pass on to them our certainty in ourselves, in our decisions, our certainty in them and who they are. And when we're really embodying that, like truly embodying that, even when opinions differ, you've got nothing to defend. And so connection is the natural byproduct of certainty. It feels like a good place to conclude for today. So the takeaway I'd love you to really receive from this is that you know you don't need advice, and you do need connection. You don't need strategy, and you do need certainty. And if you want to explore any of that, then drop me a comment, drop me an email. And if you have any comments or questions about anything that I've shared here, I am aware that it's a little bit conceptual, and I want to, as I say, when I share personal stories, I want to maintain privacy of other parties involved. So with that, I am sending you so much love, and I'll see you in the next video.